When I was 17, I came home from school to find the house completely empty, my brother gone. All that was left was a single sheet of paper on the kitchen counter. You'll figure it out, not even a goodbye. Just a few careless words that changed my life forever. As a teenage girl, barely out of high school, I had no idea what I'd done wrong. Maybe I was too independent. Maybe I wasn't the daughter they wanted. I replayed every moment in my head, baking birthday cakes alone for my mom, tutoring my brother James for his finals, even handing over my entire paycheck to help pay the bills, always hoping for a thank you, always getting nothing but coldness in return. The first week, I crashed on my friend Lauren's couch, then another friend's, until eventually I ran out of places to go. With nowhere left, I used the last of my savings to rent a tiny storage unit and slept in the back on a pile of old blankets. I ate peanut butter out of the jar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, showered at the YMCA, and used library computers to search for jobs and pretend everything was normal. A few weeks later, I found a job as a waitress at a 24-hour diner. My manager, Patty, tough but fair, sometimes let me nap in the break room when I nearly passed out from exhaustion. Every shift, I'd pull my hair back, put on a brave face, and pray for decent tips. Every dollar counted. A regular customer noticed how hard I worked and offered me a temp job cleaning offices. That paid 3 times as much as waitressing, so I said yes, and that led to another job, and then another. I learned quickly, always showed up early, and never complained. By 22, I was freelancing full-time. By 25, I'd launched my own consulting business, just me, a folding table, and a borrowed laptop. By 27, I had 5 contractors and my own tiny office in Portland. By 29, I was a self-made millionaire. No social media flex, just real savings, a paid-off apartment, and health insurance. I'd made it. All those years, my family never once reached out. I'd see my brother James pop up on suggested friends on social media, but I never sent a request. I wondered sometimes what story they told about me did I run away. Was I a troublemaker, or did they just pretend I'd never existed? Sometimes I told myself it was easier not to hate them. The truth was, it wasn't hate, it was heartbreak. I started going to therapy. My therapist, Daniel, encouraged me to make a list of the people who saved me along the way. Friends, coworkers, strangers who had offered help when I was at my lowest. Slowly, I began to heal. 12 years passed. Then, last week, a podcast I did about surviving family estrangement went viral. In 4 days, it hit 1 million views. Suddenly, my inbox was flooded with messages, strangers thanking me for putting their pain into words, telling me my story helped them feel less alone. And then I saw an email with the subject, "You're still our daughter." It was from my mom, no apology. Just a few sentences about hearing my story and maybe talking. Then a message from James, "We miss you. Can we fix this?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Did I even want to answer? Was it healing to look back, or better to move forward? I didn't respond right away. My therapist Daniel suggested I take time to feel whatever came up, so I did. I went to the gym, had dinner with friends, tried to live my normal life, but the emails haunted me. My mom's message felt clinical, like reaching out to a distant acquaintance. James's was shorter, but somehow felt more genuine. After 10 days, I replied to my brother, just one question. "It's been 12 years. What changed?" He wrote back within an hour. The podcast had made him realize what they'd done. He claimed he was just a kid when they left me. He hadn't had a choice. He'd always wondered about me, had looked me up online sometimes, but never had the courage to reach out. That seeing me successful made him proud. I didn't quite buy it. If he'd cared, why wait until I was publicly successful? I asked him that. He admitted their lives were tough. My parents' business failed. His wife was pregnant again. Medical bills were piling up. There it was, the real reason. A week later, my mom sent another email with old family photos attached. Pictures of me as a baby, us at the beach, building snowmen. Moments that looked happy, but felt like they belonged to someone else's life. At the bottom, she wrote, "We made mistakes. We want to make amends." I took it to Daniel. He reminded me I could set boundaries, that I owed them nothing. But he also said closure sometimes helps people move forward. I decided to meet James first, just him, no parents. We picked a coffee shop in Seattle, halfway between us. The morning of, I almost canceled 3 times, but at 2 p.m., I walked in and saw him. Older, heavier, hair receding, but the same eyes. We didn't hug, just sat across from each other, awkward. For 20 minutes, we made small talk. Then he started apologizing. "Claire, I'm so sorry. I was only 15 when it happened. I didn't know they were planning to leave you. I was scared. I should have stood up to them." I asked him the question that haunted me for 12 years. Why me? Why was I the one left behind? He looked down. "They always said you were the strong one, the one who'd be fine. They convinced themselves you'd be better off without them." It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. I told him about the storage unit, eating peanut butter, showering at the YMCA, working nights at 17. His face crumpled. "I didn't know," he whispered. "They told me you had a plan. That you wanted to stay behind, live with a friend's family. All lies." By the end, I wasn't sure what to think. He seemed remorseful, showed me photos of his wife Emily and daughter Sophie, talked about his accounting job. He didn't ask for money, which surprised me. When we parted, he hugged me. I let him, but didn't hug back. Back at my hotel, I called Daniel. He pointed out James was still framing himself as a victim, not fully owning his part. He'd been 15, not 5, old enough to pick up a phone. That night, my mom called. I hadn't given her my number. James must have. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Her voice was older, raspier, and she cried as soon as I spoke. "I'm so proud of you. I always knew you'd succeed." She talked herself out, and I asked her, "Why me?" Her answer was different. "We were in debt, Claire. We couldn't afford 3 mouths. We figured you'd go to social services, get placed with a better family. We thought we were doing you a favor." I hung up and blocked her number. The next day, my dad sent an email, the first contact in 12 years, no apology. Just paragraphs about how hard life was, medical bills, his daughter-in-law's surgery, eviction notices. Then at the end, "Can you help the family out?" No mention of what they'd done to me, no question about my life. I forwarded it to Daniel, and there it is. We talked about boundaries. Forgiveness versus enabling, what I actually wanted. By Monday, I decided. I emailed James, "I'm glad we met. I'm willing to have a relationship with you and your family, but with clear boundaries, no money, no loans, no contact with our parents until they take responsibility for what they did." He wrote back, "I'm disappointed. Claire, family should support each other. You're being selfish with your success." All the guilt buttons from my childhood pressed at once. I didn't respond. I booked a vacation to the Oregon coast, trying to process everything. 3 days later, James called apologizing for his email, saying he understood, that he'd still like a relationship on my terms. I decided to give him a chance, but with my guard up. When I returned home, I had 6 desperate emails from my dad and a text from James asking if we could talk again. I agreed to a call. He said he was in therapy now, too. He sounded different, less defensive. He told me our parents were coming to visit next weekend, asked if I'd meet them. I said no. He pushed, but backed off when I got quiet. After we hung up, I had a panic attack. I called Daniel for an emergency session, realized I was still seeking their approval even after all these years. That night, James texted, "Mom cried all night." "Dad says he's driving to your city." I blocked his number and told building security not to let anyone up. A few days later, my doorman called my parents were downstairs, saying they wanted to see me. I said no. Then came a voicemail. "Claire, we drove 8 hours to see you. You're being childish." We deserve a chance to explain. I deleted it. Thursday morning, someone pounded on my door. I froze. It was them, standing in the hallway, calling my name. I sat on the floor, shaking, until they left. I called Daniel, who reminded me, "You have every right to set boundaries." What they're doing isn't reconciliation, it's harassment. James emailed, furious, "You humiliated our parents." They're staying in a motel they can't afford. "Emily needs surgery. You're being cruel." I didn't respond. Friday, I booked a flight to stay with Lauren in Seattle. She was the one who let me crash on her couch when I was homeless. I trusted her. While I packed, my doorman called again. My mom was downstairs, having a medical emergency, asking for me by name. I told him to call an ambulance, but I wouldn't come down. At the airport, James called. "Mom had a heart attack. She's in surgery. This is your fault." I hung up and called Daniel, asking if I was a terrible person. "You're not responsible for your mother's health," he said firmly. "This is just another manipulation." I spent the weekend with Lauren, telling her everything. She was furious. They don't deserve a minute of your time, not after what they did. When I got home, there were flowers at my door. "Please call us. We're staying at the Holiday Inn." No apology, just another demand. Tuesday morning, a text with a photo of my mom in a hospital bed. She might not have much time left. "Do you really want to live with this regret?" I blocked the number. That afternoon, Emily came to my door with Sophie. She looked exhausted. "I only learned about you 3 years ago. James told me you ran away at 17, cut off contact." I always thought it was strange, but never pushed. Then I heard your podcast. I confronted him, and he finally admitted the truth. "I had no idea they'd ask you for money." "Yes, I do need surgery, but we have insurance. Your parents are the ones in trouble." She told me my parents had lied to everyone, told the family I'd abandoned them, that I was mentally unstable, that I'd stolen money and disappeared. She showed me Facebook posts, prayers for their troubled daughter, lies about looking for me, all dated years after they'd left me. They admitted it when I threatened to tell the whole family. They're desperate. Your podcast has people asking questions they can't answer. She apologized for being part of it, even unknowingly. I want my kids to know their aunt, but only if you want that too. No pressure, just an open door. After they left, I called Daniel. He explained that abusers often control the narrative, creating alternate realities where they're the victims. That night, my dad sent a different email, angry, threatening to sue me for defamation, demanding I take down the podcast and issue a public apology, asking for money. I forwarded it to Daniel and my lawyer, Daniel. He told me not to worry. People who are actually going to sue don't announce it first. Just save everything. The next day, James called, panicked. Our parents are furious. They're saying terrible things about Emily now, too. I'm scared they'll do something desperate. We agreed to meet in a public place with my lawyer. James and Emily looked terrible. They told me my parents had been living off James for years, moving in and out, taking money, criticizing his parenting, even grabbing Emily hard enough to leave bruises. He'd finally kicked them out, and now they were stalking, calling constantly, showing up at work. Daniel took notes and suggested they change locks, passwords, everything. We hugged as we left, not forgiveness, but something like it. That night, A series of unhinged texts from my parents' threats, accusations, guilt trips. I blocked them all, Emily called sobbing. They broke into our house. They took Sophie's baby photos, important documents, James's laptop. Left a note, family matters should stay in the family. We called the police, but without evidence, it was hard to prove. My lawyer said we needed restraining orders. We all stayed at my place for a few days, me, James, Emily, and Sophie. It was strange living with people after years alone, but it felt like the start of something real. Then more escalation, a brick through James's car window, a threatening email. If you go to court tomorrow, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. We went to court anyway. The judge listened to our evidence break-in, threats, messages, history of abandonment and manipulation. My parents denied everything, played the victims, but the judge saw through it. We got 3-year restraining orders. No contact, no approaching, no third-party messages, any violation immediate arrest. My parents looked stunned, like they'd never faced consequences. As we left, my mom called after me, but I kept walking. I felt lighter with every step, not healed, but beginning to be. A few days later, a text, a photo of Sophie at her friend's house. This isn't over yet. We called the police, lawyer documented everything. More patrols, more cameras, more fear. My parents started showing up in my neighborhood, sitting in their car across the street at night. Technically not a violation, but deeply unsettling. I realized I couldn't keep living in fear. I called Daniel, asked him what I really wanted. My answer, to live without fear, to have a real family, to stop feeling responsible for my parents' actions. That afternoon, I did something bold. I emailed my parents one last meeting. Tomorrow, noon, coffee shop on 8th, just me. After that, you leave us alone forever. They came looking tired and small. I didn't let them speak first. I didn't call you here to reconcile or to hear excuses. You've lost me, lost James, lost your granddaughter. If you contact us again, I'll make sure everyone you know learns exactly who you are. My mom cried, we just want our family back. We're getting older. We don't want to die alone. You should have thought about that before abandoning your daughter, before breaking into James's house, before threatening Sophie. My dad got angry, accused me of being ungrateful. Do you really think you're entitled to gratitude for 17 years of basic parenting before abandoning me? He had no answer. I stood to leave. This is your last warning. Next time, I won't just call the police, I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. I have the resources, and I will protect my family. As I left, my mom called after me. Do you really hate us that much? I turned. I don't hate you. I feel nothing for you. You're strangers to me now, and that's your loss, not mine. That week, I joined James and his family at their hotel for a few days, just to be safe. Sophie called me Auntie Claire for the first time. Emily hugged me. James squeezed my shoulder. We spent days in limbo, waiting for my parents' next move, but it never came. No calls, no emails, just silence. James found a new job in my city. Emily enrolled Sophie in preschool. They bought a house 20 minutes from my apartment. We had dinner together every Sunday, building new traditions, a new kind of family. 6 months later, a letter came through my lawyer, my parents' first real apology. No excuses, no demands. Just an acknowledgement of their failure, a promise to respect the restraining orders, and a hope that someday I might accept a real apology. I keep the letter in my desk, not because I'm ready to forgive, but because it means something. I have the right to set boundaries. I have the right to choose my own family. Last week, Sophie had her 4th birthday at my apartment. Balloons, cake, noise, laughter, real family, chosen, not assigned by blood. I'm not saying everything is perfect. I still go to therapy, still have trust issues, still flinch at the doorbell. But I'm healing, we all are. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever reconcile with my parents, if I'll let them meet Sophie, if I'll ever forgive them. I don't have the answers. Maybe someday, maybe never, but I do know this. I'm not defined by what they did to me. I'm defined by what I built after, by the person I chose to become, by the family I chose to create.